Hi guys, welcome to the first video blog for afteraliyah.com. My name is Daniel Rosehill. I'm currently, as I record this, like the only person who's posted on the site. I don't know if this site's gonna be like my personal blog for me, or whether there are going to be other contributors. But in any event, I was going to record this video for my own YouTube channel, and then I thought, why don't I record this as a video for After Aliyah? So presumably, if you're watching this, you're aware of After Aliyah. If not, then check out the website. It's at afteraliyah.com. And the website is basically all information about living in Israel. So yes, there are definitely other websites in this niche. There's, AngloList, there's Janglo, there's Israel B. But this is a blog that and a website that doesn't really have any other purpose but information giving. So I've been writing blog posts about Israel for the best a couple of years at this point, about various aspects of living here. And recently I just brought these onto this domain. So that's essentially what the project is. So one topic that I can definitely speak about, and which is why I'm recording this this video here, is freelancing in Israel. It's both something I can speak about from personal experience because I've been doing it for 5 years. And it's also something that I'm passionate about. I think that it's certainly not the easiest way in the world to make a living, but it is definitely a viable option, particularly now because of the pandemic, coronavirus, where people are, they're struggling to find, or maybe they've been laid off. There's a lot of interest in it now. So I just want to preface this by making a couple of disclaimers, and I hate to have to be so legalistic here. Disclaimer one is that I'm not an accountant. Disclaimer two is I'm not a lawyer. Disclaimer three is I'm going to talk about what I know, and I'm not going to even offer conjecture about things that I don't know. And what I don't know is the American aspect of freelancing in Israel. So America, the US, is a unique entity in that the IRS basically taxes its citizens extrajudicially until such point as they revoke their citizenship, and most American citizens don't want to give up the passport. So for American citizens, there's a additional complication regarding freelancing, in that you both have to stay compliant with your Israeli tax and you have to stay compliant with your American tax. So there's Israeli accountants and there's American accountants in Israel, and you also have accountants in Israel that both do Israeli and American taxes, so you can kind of get everything under the one roof. I do want to recommend my guy. I don't know if he actually, I do know his office does American stuff. His name is Binyamin Radomski of Abu Lafia. He's based in Jerusalem. British guy, and he's really, really good about answering questions I have. I've been with him basically from the start of my freelancing journey here in Israel, which was, I believe it's 5 years. If it's not 5 years, it's almost 5 years. So quite a while. I was doing this as a part-time operation for a number of years before I got my first job here. Paused for a while, but kept the teak open. Did it again while I was working full-time as a side hustle, as they say on the internet. And now I'm coming up on my 3rd year. This will be my 3rd full-time year of doing it full-time. My current status is osek murshe. Oh, sorry, there was another caveat. So what I know about is how to run an operation as a non-US citizen. My citizenship is Ireland, which is an EU country, and Israel. So I don't have an American citizenship or a third citizenship. So I don't know that. I also don't know about running a BAM. A BAM to be correct with the vowelization, is essentially a corporation. So you have corporate liability. So this is again for American citizens in Israel. They will morph into corporate structures more readily than non-US dual citizens for reason of taxation and minimizing their tax burden, basically. But if you're just looking to set up a a basic atsmai, so the two levels of atsmai are, and this is, I'm prefacing this, the big disclaimer is this is what I know. The information is to the best of my knowledge and to the best of the knowledge I've received, but do not rely upon any information in this video, and visit an accountant to get your to get professional advice. But this is just like my overview as an actual freelancer. I've never been fined. I've always been compliant. So so far so good for me. Okay, two levels of atsmai, non-corporate entity. Level one is osek patur, which means a trader that is exempt from VAT. Basically, you don't charge VAT. Not only do you not charge VAT, you can't charge VAT. Level two is osek murshe. And so I'm an osek murshe, and once your revenue crosses approximately 100,000 shekels per year, you have no choice but to upgrade 100,000 NAS and USD. At today's rate, that's $30,000. So that's actually very low. Another thing I recommend doing is 100,000. This is a bit embarrassing how bad my mathematics are. That works out as 8,333 shekels per month. So we're not talking about a lot. It's not hard to get over that threshold, basically. And once you are over that threshold, you have to become an osek murshe. There are also certain professions that legally have to be an osek murshe, irrespective of how much or how little they earn. So you can find that information online through more detailed sources than the kind of information I'm providing here. So how to register? So you open a teek. A teek in Hebrew, for those who don't have the vocab, means a file. You go to your local office of Mas Haknasa, or actually technically Rishut HaMisim, the tax authority, which is a franchise of Misrad HaOtzar, as far as I know, the finance ministry. And you'll have to fill out paperwork, and now you can do this through your accountant. I actually opened up my own teek myself. Like, I went to the office and I physically went to the tax office in Jerusalem, looked up their hours. I would say I don't recommend doing that, because if you're paying an accountant, they'll either do this for you, or for like a small extra fee, they'll do it for you. So I think it's really worth, I think if you're already using an accountant, and I strongly recommend you do, why not pay them a little bit more? If you're looking at this being your full-time income, then it's really, really not smart to attempt to economize on this. I am economizing a little bit, and I'll talk about that. But I didn't actually do this to economize, because it was like, it was a I thought it was going to be a very temporary thing when I opened my teek, and it turned out to be not a temporary thing. But anyway, so you should do that. So you go up to the office, you fill out a few forms. One, you register with Bituach Leumi. You open up your teek with them, and from that point, I think it's form 106. From that point onwards, you're obligated to contribute your contributions as an atzmai. Remember, you can either be an atzmai, just an atzmai, or you can be atzmai and a sachir. You can even be a sachir and a sachir somewhere else and be an atzmai, in which case you'll have to probably do a te'um mas, so that your two employers know the correct deduction at source. Okay, so basically you do Bituach Leumi, then you open a teek with Mas Haknasa. And when you open your teek with Mas Haknasa is the income tax. Bituach Leumi is the social security contributions. And as an atsmai, you pay a bit more bituach leomi than a sachir, because when you're a sachir, an employee, you actually pay into your bituach leomi, and your employer pays into your bituach leomi. Another reason being a sachir, being a salaried person, is advantageous is because a lot of sachirs get fringe benefits like Keren Hishtalmut, and their employer contributes to a pension fund. As a freelancer, everything's on you, and here's the bum part of the deal: you don't get back. So with B'tuach Leumi, in the ordinary course of affairs, there isn't unemployment protection or income protection. So it's kind of a one-way street. You have to pay contributions as a freelancer. You have to pay contributions if you're unemployed. Sorry, I don't know that. But you, in the normal course of non-corona pandemic grants, you don't get back from Bituach Leumi. So you could argue that that's kind of a crummy system, but that is a system. So you have to do Bituach Leumi, you have to do Mas Haknasa, and there's a third body that if you're immediately registering as an osek murshe, you'll also register with MAM. But actually, even if you're an osek patur, you open up a file with MAM. You'll just be patur from MAM, and you'll get an ishur. Excuse my attempts to try do the R's correct and then do them badly in Hebrew. You'll be patur malay from MAM if you're an osek patur, and you'll get an ishur to basically verify that. There's a lot of these ishurim that you'll get. You'll get your ishur for registering your teak. There's an ishur for did you go under the VAT limit. There's many. There's ishur ba'alut cheshbon. There's ishur nihul svarim. Many different ishurim are involved in freelancing in Israel, especially when you're freelancing for a Israeli company. They ask for all these things. So that's the opening process. You open up your file. Now I can, because I have an accountant, if I firstly set when you're registering, you tell Mas Haknasa, you estimate your income. And based on your income, you can choose actually a tax at source. Tax at source meaning that your clients will be withholding tax. So I don't do any tax at source, and what I do is I pay 6 mikdamot 6 times a year. So the mikdamot are I put in an online system that I get access to. Now they used to send out pinkasim, physical books, for paying your mikdamot. Now mikdamot means in Hebrew litkadem, to go ahead of. So basically you're paying tax. It's like a pay-as-you-go system for income tax. And the idea is because you have to pay your tax every 2 months, you're not going to end up with like a huge blow at the end of the year when you owe like 50,000 shekels in tax. It doesn't mean that you won't owe or you won't be owed. You can both owe the government and you can be owed by the government, and there's interest either way. So you'll do your 6 payments a year, and then your accountant will do the annual return, which is generally open from about Pesach onwards. And when you do the annual return, you will, that was my yeshiva voice impression, you will put in all your receipts, show how much you earned. You will file all your expenses. Your accountant will deduct the expenses according to the law, the accounting laws, which means certain percentage deductions for shared expenses, certain percentage deductions for dedicated freelance only expenses. And once you've done this, you'll sign off on your return. And then typically a few weeks later to a few months, I think it's more like weeks, you'll get communications from B'tuach Leumi and from Mas Haknasa saying either you owe us money or we owe you money, and there'll be instructions as to what to do. Now, in terms of how this works pragmatically, electronic is the way to go. You sign up for eGov, sign up for the online Batuach Leomi system. It's really good. There's all the info you need in there. Sign up for the online Mas Haknasa Mikdamot payment system. I'm trying to think. MAM, which is Mas Erech Musaf, is VAT. So VAT is charged at 17%. So once you go up to osek murshe level, or if you have to start from osek murshe level, you will have to charge Israeli customers 17% VAT at the time of recording this video. You can start deducting VAT on domestic purchases and writing down that VAT versus your domestic sales. So domestic VAT, the VAT you take in from your Israeli customers minus the VAT you pay to your Israeli suppliers if they're business expenses and deductible, also according to, and this is the thing that the VAT deductible levels are not the same as the Mas Haknasa. They're a little bit different. So you take one from the other, and then it's the same system every 2 months, and you have up until the 19th of the month. You can go into this online. There's separate systems, one for Mas Haknasa, one for MAM. But Tuach Leomi, I do buy a direct debit on my credit card, and that keeps things ticking over. So you just need to know how to use the system. You have to, for bookkeeping and for accounting, you need to use one of the official payment programs. So the one I use is called Green Invoice. It's in my opinion the best, but it does only have a Hebrew user interface, like a Hebrew menu, so stuff's in Hebrew. That can be a little bit tricky, but I think it's within the reach of most people who can read Hebrew and know the basic vocab to learn how to use it. And I don't recommend looking for a platform just because it has English. I think that's limiting. So there's other ones. There's Rivhit, there's Green Invoice, there's Invoice for You. There's a bunch of different programs, but you have to use one from their list. And once you're in it, you can file in your expenses, your hotzaot. You can create your cheshbon iska, which is a payment demand, a Kabbalah for when you receive payments. In the general course of affairs, as an osek murshe, you only charge for Israeli client VAT. So for international ones, you don't. You issue your receipt. In Israel, you also issue a cheshbonit mas, or you can issue a combined Kabbalah / cheshbonit mas. And that is kind of it. Now for bookkeeping, for the osek murshe stuff, if you have employees and if you have a lot of expenses, you can hire a bookkeeper or what's called a yoetz or yoetzet mas, and they can use your online system or do the reports, or you can choose to do it yourself and go self-service through the website. Those are your two options. The final thing to say about the administrative things you need to do is you need to by law contribute to a pension fund, to a kupat pensia. There are legal minimums, legal maximum. You can also contribute to a keren hishtalmut as well as your pensia. So you can do both. You can either use a sochen, you can use a pension agent, or you can manage it yourself. There is Metav Dash allow you to work this way. I think Alt Shula also do, but Metav Dash certainly you can put in your own money through a deposit system and meet and stay in compliant with your obligation. Stay in compliance with your obligation to contribute. So that's it, guys. In summary, at this level of freelancing that I'm operating at, I'm Israel-based, by which I mean I'm living in Israel more than 182 calendar days a year. So I'm a tax resident of Israel. That means no matter where I earn my income in the world, whether my client's based in Israel or in Fiji or in Toga, I report all the income I get, and I generate receipts through my green invoice Also, if I get money in from Amazon, from KDP, or from any income I get in, okay, I don't do a Udemy course, but if I did, I'd be doing that. You can also integrate it. There's a lot of information to get across, I realize, so it's a bit of a dump here, but just try to. I hope this. I'm not speaking too fast. Whatever income you get, you report, and you can ask your accountant if you're working through Fiverr or working through Upwork, what the protocol is. Do you write out a receipt to the client or to the marketplace? My accountant told me it's to the client. One cool thing, if you're working with international clients, I highly recommend a service called Wise. It used to be called TransferWise. They just did a rebranding. And with Wise, it's a low-cost currency conversion system, and you bring in money into your Israeli account. You get virtual borderless accounts. So you can get a US dollar account that works over the ACH system and over the wire system. You can get a euro account. You can get a virtual account in pound sterling, and you give those details to your freelance client. And for them, it's like a local bank transfer. When the money goes in, you get a notification, and you can either transfer to shekels right away and move it into your bank account in Israel, or you can hold it until the rate's better. It's a really, really, really good system, and they have good support. And I personally, it's made a huge difference for me in terms of opening up the ability for me to do business with international clients. And that's something I really recommend, is not limiting yourself to just working with Israeli clients. Bit of a touchy subject, because people who work with only Israeli clients, I find, get pretty defensive about it. I've found it better to widen my options as far as possible. And I recommend that for the 5 or 10 minutes it takes to sign up for Wise, that you do the same and get yourself those borderless accounts that will allow you to easily bring in money to Israel. You can also use PayPal. I just TransferWise is nicer in my opinion, because for clients who prefer working through bank transfers, it's set up for that. That's about it. Osek, murshe, osek, patur, BAM would be the three main structures. US citizens have another layer of complication that I didn't touch on at all. You have to manage relationships with Bituach Leumi, Mas Haknasa, MAM, and Yukupa Pensia. And typically there's the annual return to both Mas Haknasa and MAM, to report your earnings minus expenses, and to report your gross revenue. And your gross revenue, your turnover, will determine which side of the osek patur, osek murshe divide you either fall on or you have fallen to. So I hope that's been good, guys. I don't want to promise that I'll answer questions, because my schedule can be busy, and it's not guaranteed, but you can reach me through the various social networks and social platforms, and feel free to write in, and if I do have time to get back to questions, I will. But of course, really the people you should be speaking to if you want to do this would be a certified accountant, and I really recommend using an accountant, whether even if you're just doing Israeli taxes, because it's the best money you'll spend on this, to have someone who you can ask questions to make sure you're doing everything by the books, to make sure you're not picking up costly fines. In my opinion, it's a no-brainer. It will, it's almost certainly make you money, because do this properly, and you can make more money than a sahir. You can make a lot less money than a sahir. But that's kind of what I like about it, is you have at least that flexibility. So guys, hope this has been cool. Thanks for checking out this After Aliyah webinar / video recording. Please like and subscribe to our pages. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, but not really Instagram, mostly on those platforms. So please tell people about the site, sharing the website, Facebook groups with your friends helps more people discover it and learn what the site's about. Thanks again for watching and have a terrific rest of your day.